Hey crafty people! Welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! Welcome back. It's time for another use it or lose it video. If you're new to my channel, at the beginning of the year I put a bunch of stuff that's been sitting in my stash forever into a box, and each month I go in and pull out some stuff from the box, and I've got to use it, and whatever's still in that box at the end of this year is moving on. It's either going to get thrown out or donated depending on what it is. But the idea is to finally use up stuff that's been sitting in my stash for ages. And I'm pretty sure, because this is a card base. Wait, one of these had a date on the back. Yep, this one. Card base, 2010. So I suspect all of this stuff is from about around the same time. So it's been sitting in my stash for over a decade. I just need to use it. So we're gonna just make a whole bunch of cards because these are cards that I had started making. Back then I was making cards for an organization called Operation Right Home, which sent cards to US troops in Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait, the Middle East area for them to use to write home to their family members. So I was doing a ton of card making and sometimes didn't get everything finished. So I suspect all of this is from that era of my card making. So we're gonna try and finish these cards up, and then I think I'm probably going to find an organization to donate them to. So that's what we're gonna do today. I've pulled out some stuff. I had a bit of a think about all of them. I've also got a whole bunch of card bases because yeah. And so we're just gonna go through and start finishing these up. So this one's already on a card base. And so's this one, as are these three. So let's move some of this stuff off to the side and we're gonna get cracking. So what I thought I would do for these two, and then for the other ones, because I have more of the blue left, which is just some blue cardstock. I don't even think I have this cardstock because I went trying to find the red to try and use. I don't think I have this kind of cardstock anymore. Like this stuff is so old. And then I've got some more of this, and I can tell this was back when I first started out because I definitely overheated, I think, this area, because you can tell there's a difference in the color, and I'm pretty sure it's all the same gold embossing powder. So yeah, these were back when I was a beginner. But I think we can still salvage this and use what I've got there. So for these two, what I was thinking I would do is add a sentiment. And so what I did was I pulled out a really old die set as well. And I think it's a Spellbinders set, and it's Fancy Tags 2. And so it die cuts out this, but it also has a coordinating die for doing a little emblem on it. And I thought they would work on here, and I think I may also add a little gold ribbon to it. And I'm gonna emboss just a sentiment and keep these guys fairly simple. And this one I think may go this way. Oh, no, this way. I think we may do it this way and stick it over here and run some gold. But I feel like the black's too stark, but I don't know what else, because I don't have this red. Like it was a struggle trying to figure it out. So what I think I want to do is I've got some gold metallic paint, and I think I'm just gonna add some gold to the black piece. So that one's gonna go with this card. I think I'm gonna do one of the smaller ones, like this one, down here in the corner for this card, and we'll add the little oval for that. And then I did die cut out, there's a long skinny one and a small round one and a square one, which I think will work with the remaining pieces that I have so that we can turn those into cards. And my thought is I'm gonna stamp the sentiments and emboss them with gold embossing powder. So I've got some Recollections. This is gold tinsel embossing powder. So we'll do that. And let's get started on these black pieces by adding a little bit of gold to them. So I think that'll make it, I will like it better if it's got just a little bit of the gold shimmer to it. So let me grab, what do I need? I need some water and a paintbrush. I'm gonna grab a random paintbrush. And I'm just gonna kind of go over top so that it's not gonna be like gold. It's gonna have that black undertone, and I think that will tone down the harshness of the black and help it work with the piece. So yeah, I think that's not even the one I was planning on using on this one, but I think, is it gonna go that way? I think I thought it was gonna go this way. So yeah, I think that works a little better. I think I like that better. All right, so I'm gonna set this one aside to dry. I'm gonna go through and give a paint coating of the gold on all of these, and then I'll be back. Okay, so they're all painted. And I went ahead and pulled out some sentiments to stamp on the pieces that will go on here. And they are from a variety of stamp sets. Let's see. This is Sending Hugs, and that's Hero Art. No, Lawn Fawn. This says Oh Happy Day, and it's by Power Poppy. Thinking of You is by Hero Arts. Just a Note is Fisker, and the Hello is Inkadoo. And these are, you know, really old stamps I've had for a while. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna stamp them with Versamark, which is a clear embossing ink, and then emboss them with the gold embossing powder. And so hopefully these are gonna stamp nicely. Since they're really too small, the pieces I'm stamping on are too small to put in my MISTI and hold down with a magnet. We're just gonna, so I'm gonna stamp with a little Versamark. Oh Happy Day. I'm gonna grab my tweezers to hold on to that, and then put a piece of paper down and drip some glitter over top, or some gold embossing powder. That looks like it did pretty good. All right, I'm gonna set it aside. We're gonna just emboss everything all at once. And I'm just gonna go through and stamp everybody. Okay, so I've got a little embossing powder sticking where I don't want it. So I'm taking a very soft paintbrush and coming in and moving it off. And I did just pull some off of the F in the of. So I'm gonna come back in and add a little bit more. Apparently I got some ink, I think, up here, because, yeah, sticking in the same spot again. Oh, that's not good. Just dumped embossing powder everywhere. All right, I'm gonna pause this video so I can clean up the mess I made. I'm trying to salvage some of this embossing powder, and I'll be back in a minute. All right, I've got it mostly cleaned up, but I have a feeling like with glitter, I'm gonna be finding it for days in my space. All right, so let's go ahead and emboss these. And in case you're new to embossing powders, I will do this on screen so you can see the magic. That one's embossed. That's what it looks like before it's embossed. So there we go. I'm gonna go through and emboss everybody. So a couple heat embossing tips, as you saw me doing on the video. If you hold it up off your work surface, it's going to emboss faster because the heat's going to be able to flow all around the piece. You also will want a pair of, I forget what these type of tweezers are called, where they stay closed and you have to pinch them to open, because you don't want to put your fingers where the heat is blowing because it is really freaking hot. So those are my tips for embossing. Now, this is Nicole heat tool. I've had this thing for, I don't know, like 15 plus years. And it's got the focused area for heat embossing. So this is designed for heat embossing. You can use the Tim Holtz Ranger Heat It Craft tool, but see, you'll notice it's got a wider opening. So it's just gonna take longer because the heat is less concentrated with this. I use this mostly for drying stuff because the other one's a little too intense and focused of a heat for drying. So that's why I have the two different ones. And so let's go ahead and get these guys assembled. I pulled out some gold ribbon in case I wanted to add gold ribbon to this. And for this one, I think I was thinking of using this piece, which is getting the big thinking of you. And so that'll go like that. And I'm just trying to decide, do I even want to do ribbon? I don't know that I want to do ribbon. I'm also trying to decide, I think I want to go this way after all. Right, that's the grip. And we're just going to glue it down. And then I think I may add some gems right there. Yeah, I definitely want to put gems there. I think I may use these guys. This is definitely using neglected items for my stash kind of day. And I am definitely going to add some glue to those because, yeah, they've been in my stash possibly as long as these card bases have been in my stash. So, yeah, they are not sticky at all. And of course, the dog desperately wants to come in. So let me just glue these down. And I'll go let him in and be right back. All right, next, this one. And I think I was I gonna do this one? I think I like that there, and it gets the hello. That one. Let's see. Let's unbury. Thinking. Oh, no, let's go this way. Is it the right height for it? Yes, it's the right height to go this way. I think it needs a ribbon. I think I'm gonna grab black. All right, let's add this. I think, no, that's not working for me. Okay, so maybe just, yeah, that. Okay, we're gonna go with the skinny black just to tie in, and I think what I may do is put our sentiment over here. The Oh Happy Day can get glued onto this. All right, we're gonna do a line of Fabri-Tac down here. I want to add a little glue at the ends of the ribbon to make sure it doesn't fray. And yeah, I think I'm going to do it over here instead. And it covers up where I messed up with the embossing powder on there. Yeah, I'm just going to go in and put a little bit of Fabri-Tac just along the edge there and here so the ribbon doesn't fray. And that card's done. Now let's see how much I have left with this. Not enough for a whole card. I do it this way. Yep. All right, we're gonna chop this in half. It is, how wide is this? It's 5.5 by 5.5. So it's a square. So that's 2.5, 2 3/4. We're gonna chop there. And do 2 more like this one. Although I think what I may do is do one like so and add the sentiment up here and run ribbon through it. I think I like that idea. All right, let's attach this part. And I know I've got white sticking out over here. I'm just going to grab my scissors. And what I'll do is go through that loop behind this piece and back out through that loop. And I think I want to do it about there. Yep. I'm just gonna trim it off with a little bit of extra just to make sure I have enough. Again, gonna add a little on this end and run glue along here, along here. And another one done. Got this one and this sentiment, which I think I'm gonna just go like so. I'm not cutting that straight at all. Pull this over and do a better job of this. There we go. And I think I'm going to run the ribbon down again. So let's do that. I think it just makes for a more finished edge when you've got the ribbon running down there. And I think I like scorched the edge on that. I am going to grab a little distress ink and grab Hickory Smoke just because it's handy and it'll come out dark enough, and just ink the edges on this to disguise the burn mark. And that one's done. All right, so let's pull over these three, which are already on card bases. And I was struggling with what the heck to do with these. And then I decided, let's try. I've got die cuts. Butterflies by Tim Holtz. And I'm missing one. Let's see, where is it? I had three. Ah, here it is. And actually, I think this one goes on here. That one goes on that guy. And this one goes on this guy. And as I'm looking at it, now these are really old nesting dies by Spellbinders. So there's a size up for all of these. I think I'm gonna go and die cut the size up and ink it to match these guys. But before I do that, I also wanted to add some additional colored ribbon on the other side of these, because I don't know why I left that white. I have no idea what I had planned on doing with these guys. But I'm not loving that. So let's add that there. Yep. That. Yep, we're gonna do that there. That ribbon there. All right, so let's do that. Okay, let's pull off some of this ribbon to go next to there. So we're kind of tying our color across the card. We'll get that, but once it's got the bigger piece, I think it's gonna work better on here. Set that one aside. Let's pull this guy over and put our blue ribbon on. I am going to set these aside for now. I need to go die cut the slightly larger sides of all of these, but let's work on some of the other cards first before I go getting up again. All right, let's pull over another set of half-finished cards, and I realized I didn't pull out ribbon to go with these ones. So more embossing and embossed backgrounds. And look, I literally colored 2 sections of this, like 2 sections of this, and stopped. Oh, so here's a card. I think the idea was to do circle. I don't even think I have this stamp anymore. Circle and put it on there, but it needs a ribbon. And I feel like that I bought an eon ago and really just doesn't suit my style so much anymore, but I think works for a composition for a card like that. And I've got stuff to do 3 and enough of this to do 3. So let's go ahead and do that. And with this, because I haven't put this on a card base yet, I'm gonna snip a little extra off and tuck it under, which then solves the problem of the edges fraying. Heck, and I think the last time I cut this, I used to have a tool for cutting ribbon that like had a heated wire. Like you turn it on, the wire would heat up, and you'd slice through it with the heated wire, and so it would essentially prevent fraying. The only problem is I actually went through 2 of them, and I may still have it. I haven't used it in forever because it wears out too quickly. Like it was, the wire was very, very thin, and so did not hold up very well. All right, so let's go ahead and do this one. And I think I'll just do 1 on screen since it's basically going to be the same construction for all 3. Make sure our piece and our card base are the same size. It's a little longer than my card base, but I can fix that. But width-wise, it's good, because that's the only area you might have an issue with is the width, because you did the wraparound, and trimming off when you've done a wraparound, not the easiest thing in the world. Trust me, I know, because I've had that happen. There you go. That's pretty cute. All right, I am going to finish up the rest of these, do the die cutting I need for those, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I have die cut these guys out, and what I'm gonna do is pull out my inks and ink them. So I die cut the wrong ones out. How did I manage that? All right, I'm gonna have to go back and do that again. And now I've got these in to add to my stash. Okay, so I gotta redo that, so I'll do that in a minute. And I made some decisions about what to do with these guys, which I had these little stamped bits and these sentiments. And I went ahead and colored them with colored pencil, and then realized the black wasn't black enough, so I went over the black with Tombow Mono drawing pen, and this is 05. And then I bubble cut it around it, stuck it on black. I'm gonna do that and that, but I just want to show you a couple things with regards to how I got to that point, and then I'll just assemble the cards. So I colored it with colored pencils, and I like to blend my colored pencils, and what I have are paper blending stubs and a thing of baby oil. And I just put a little bit of baby oil on the stub. And you know what, let's zoom in so you can actually see what I'm doing. Put a little baby oil on it, and then just go over where you colored to smooth it out. Now you can also blend pencil with Gamsol, which is an odorless mineral spirit. And I used to use that, but I found it gave me a headache because it's odorless but not fumeless, and so the fumes from the Gamsol would give me a headache, so I stopped using it. So do that, and then I'm going to come in and do the purple, and it just smooths out the pencil marks. And it's just one of those things, I prefer it to leaving my pencil lines in there when I color with colored pencils. This is part of why I do most of my coloring with Copic because Copic's one step and I'm done, whereas colored pencil requires me to go in and blend. Now, I got done and I looked at it and I'm like, it's not working for me. So I went back and went around the black with a pen, and once I did that and outlined the flower, I liked it much better. So I'm just gonna do this real quick. And then what I did was I took my scissors and just kind of cut around, leaving a little bit of a white border and rounding any areas, like any corners, instead of doing harsh lines. So like here, instead of doing a straight cut across there, I'm gonna curve it. And then I'm just gonna take a piece of black paper cardstock, like a scrap piece I've got, glue it on, and then trim around. Trim it off there, there, and there to get rid of my excess bulk. And again, I'm just gonna do the same thing, leaving a little border of black around. Now, a couple tips for doing something like this. Turn the paper, not the scissors. So as you can see, I'm turning my paper and kind of just keeping my scissors steady. And if you tilt your scissors a little, see they're not straight up and down, I've got them tilted a little to the side, you can see where you're going. There we go. And I'll do the same with this one. I'll just do that off camera because do you really need to see me do it twice? Then for this piece, I pulled out my corner rounder and I just rounded the corners. Let's get one assembled and then I'll do the other two off camera. Oh, you know what? I should zoom back out so that you can actually see what I'm doing. I'm just gonna run a little glue at the very bottom here since I think this is a little long, so I've got glue in the spots where it's most likely to come peeling up. Yeah, that's longer than it should be. All right, I'm gonna pull out my trimmer. Trim this. And I think I'm gonna add that there. And it may be a little hard to read on screen. It's because I stamped it in green. It says charmed, I'm sure. This was like a $1 stamp I got at Michael's. Oh, when I first started with paper crafting and stamping. So 2008 range time frame. So that's gonna go on there like that. And so that is another one done. All right, so I'm gonna go back and redo my die cutting again. I am going to finish assembling these, and then I think I just have a couple more that I want to slap together real quick. Actually, one of them, let's go ahead and do the beginnings of, because I think I'm going to be die cutting to go with that as well. So I have this piece that I cut the circle out of. I think I used the circle on a project, and I think this is alcohol, non-alcohol ink, Distress inks, and I think it's probably crushed olive, peacock feathers, and dusty concord because of how old I think this is. And then I did modeling paste through a stencil on it to do the butterflies. So I figured what we're gonna do is I've got this butterfly vellum that's been in my stash forever, and we're just gonna put it behind. Let's see, maybe do it this way. like so. Put that on the card base. And then in there was this butterfly I stamped on watercolor paper, and it's a Tim Holtz stamp. And I think I might just stick the butterfly in there as well and probably call this one done. So let's start by applying glue back here to put our vellum on. I'll line it up so that we have the 3 butterflies showing, and then I'm just going to trim off the excess. And we'll add it to a card base. And to just put that on upside down, let's peel that off real quick. I'm gonna set that one aside since I don't want the remnants of the glue behind where we're putting the vellum bit. All right, let's make sure we've got it right side up and try this again. And this butterfly, I think I'm just gonna pull out some peacock feathers and the dusty concord. I'm gonna grab an acrylic block and I'm gonna smush a little on there and just grab a brush and some water and watercolor it real quick using those inks. Put it on a piece of white cardstock so I can see the colors. Just add a little pool of water and color this real quick. And why not? Let's pull in some crushed olive for the body. Pull in all the colors from the background. Okay. Now I have the dies that coordinate with this stamp set, and so I'm gonna die cut him out, re-die cut my whites, and then I will come back and we can finish. I've got 2 more that I want to get done using these pieces, and so we'll do those real quick and finish assembling this, and then we will be finished. Okay, I've come back and fuzzy cut the correct size out, or die cut the correct size out. So we're just gonna ink this up to match our butterfly. Actually, I think that's a moth. So I've got Distress Oxide Abandoned Coral, and I'm just gonna go around. So shift this so I'm not pulling up any purple potentially. And I'm not worried about getting the center because I'm putting the black mat on it. So I don't have to worry about covering the center. So let's just glue this one together. So there we go, that one's finished. And I went ahead and fussy cut this out because I thought it was from the Tim Holtz butterfly stamp set, but it's not. So I don't have the die that goes with it. And I think I'm gonna go around and ink the edges just to take away the white from me cutting it out. And I'm gonna attach that there. And I actually think I'm gonna shape the wings, and I'm gonna grab my stamping mat and just do that. And it's just a round end shaping tool that actually came with a set from Sizzix for doing exactly this with like flower die cuts. And so I just want to get a little bit of curve in the wings, and then I'm going to flip it over and take the other one, which has this little piece at the end that I tend to use as a poke tool, and add in a little creasing so that the body's flat, but the wings are kind of curved up. So I'm going to glue that down there. feel like it needs a sentiment. And I think what I'm gonna do is, I've got some Tim Holtz sentiment stickers, and I think I'm gonna grab one of those to go over here. Okay, so I was gonna use a Tim Holtz sticker and then realized the ones I have are the snarky ones, and since I think I'm donating this, snarky doesn't quite work. So we're gonna go with Cultivate Kindness instead, and this is a laser cut element from 49 and Market from ages ago, but I wanna adjust the color a little bit, so I'm gonna grab peacock feathers and just kind of go over it with peacock feathers to adjust the color so it fits in a little bit better with what we're doing. And I'm putting it there just because then it's not over the lumpy bumpy texture paste. So there we go, that one's done. So we got 2 more, and these are the ones I'm planning on keeping to use as birthday cards, because I have 2 friends who have birthdays in December, and I always am scrambling at the last minute to make them birthday cards because, you know, I'm so focused on doing Christmas cards before then that their birthday cards kind of get lost in the mix. So I've got, it's the same stamp, one of which is stamped on, this is a piece of comic book board that I colored with alcohol ink. I don't know how long ago, and I have no idea what ink I used to stamp this with. So yeah, I've got that piece, and I'm gonna just stamp happy birthday on this little banner tag die cut, and then run some ribbon through it. Probably this one, because it's a nice little contrast in the purples. And then for this one, I think I'm gonna do like a bubble fussy cut because of how it got stamped on there. It's a little funky, so I need to cut this out, but I'm also going to do the same exact thing at the bottom for this one as well. So let's go ahead and stamp our sentiments, and I'm going to use my Misty so I can ensure I get a good stamped impression. Let's do that and that. And I've got some birthday stamps. One's gonna get this happy birthday. One's gonna get this happy birthday. This one's Scrappy Cat is who that stamp's by, and that one is Craft and Kimmy. All right, let's pick those up, flip them over, and ink them up. Let's try, I've got First Find Claire Monarch. Let's give that one a try. All right, we're missing part of the birthday on birthday. Because it looks like the stamp is actually missing part of the B on birthday. That is not great. I think what I'm gonna do is put a little ink on this and draw in the rest of the B, and then throw that stamp out because that is not good. There we go. Problem solved. Stamp is going in the garbage because, let's face it, that's just, yeah, not a good thing. All right, let's go ahead and put our happy birthdays with our pieces. So let's trim this off. Gonna run just a little bead of glue along the back just to help keep it in place. So we've got that card. And then for this one, we're going to do the same basic thing. And now I need to cut him out real quick. To make the white a little less noticeable, I am gonna grab a brush and some shaded lilac and just ink that with a little bit of purple. So now it's not so stark white. It should look a little bit better and a little less, yeah, it stands out a little bit less. It's not, I didn't put a ton of ink on there, just a little bit to knock back the white. And I'm gonna ink my edges because, yeah, that fuzzy cutting, not the neatest. All right, let's glue it on and then we're done. And we got a whole bunch of stuff out of my to-do box that has been sitting in there for ever and ever and ever. So I'm very happy about that. Okay, so we got this one done and this one done. So 2 butterfly birthday cards, another butterfly card. We've got our trio of black and white with a pop of color cards. Then we've got a trio of black backgrounds with colorful embossing, and then the white piece with the same colors. We've got our trio of blue cards where I embossed white on a blue background. And then we've got our gold embossing on, we've got 4 cards where it's the blue on the background, or blue on a blue background, and then the one random extra red one I had. I know I crafted with a bunch of stuff that had been sitting in my stash for a while, so it may not be things you have, but I hope this gives you some ideas for fairly easy ways to do a mass make of cards if you want to give like cards as a gift, because these all came from, I took just an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, took 1 stamp, stamped all over it, embossed it in gold, and then made, I've got 4 cards, 1 full cover base, and then 3 where I have, you know, a section of it and then leave a section white, and then just add a sentiment and some ribbon. So that's one idea for a great way you can do a set of cards for someone as a gift. This stamp and this stamp were from the same stamp set, so I think what I had ended up doing is taking like all of the stamps from that and stamped a bunch of backgrounds and gold embossed them and made most of them into cards that I gave as gifts, but I had a few pieces left over. A similar idea is this one where instead of using gold, I did white embossing. Now I don't remember if this is a white embossing powder with a clear ink or if I used a white ink with a clear embossing powder. And then I used that same image to be a focal image stamped in a circle in color, and then just added some ribbon to go along and a little sentiment in a circle. So that's another idea where you can do a gift set of cards and you can do them all the same. We also have this idea where it's, I stamped the flower in color on black and embossed it so it really pops. Then did a separate sheet of white where I used the same colors to stamp a similar flower. And actually I think these are 2 different flowers. One that's a smaller version of this and then another one, but stamped that in a similar method using the same colors but not embossing it, and then added a sentiment on top. So that's another way. And then with these sentiments, because they had the little flowers, I was able to do, you know, pull the colors from my background. So that's another idea for doing a whole gift set of cards, is stamping in color, embossing on a black background. And then this one, where I did a black and white stamped flower background, and it's just the flowers stamped over, probably an entire 8.5 by 11 sheet that then got cut down into probably 4, and I probably finished one of the cards off. Because yeah, you can get 4 full card bases from one sheet of 8.5 by 11 if you're doing 4 1/4 by 5.5 cards. Then I added some black ribbon with the butterfly on it to the edge. Ended up going back because I had the gap there and putting a color ribbon on, using my Distress ink to color one die cut, do a black die cut, and then do a moth, or you could do a flower stamped with the same color ink that I inked those pieces with. And so you could do an entire set of cards like this in a variety of colors. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting.